Charlie Kirk schools a brainwashed lib who is so propagandized by the fake news media, it is not even funny. Folks, you're not going to want to miss this, okay? It is insane how uninformed people can be, but that's okay because Charlie Kirk is here to set the record straight. And with that being said, we are going to get into the video, but first, do me a huge favor here, like our video and share it around so we can keep bringing you all this great, hard-hitting content. And as always, folks, I'm Roasterian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
Just want to thank you for coming out here and answering all these questions to start off. My biggest problem with Donald Trump is I feel like throughout his political career, he's built it around just degrading, belittling, and insulting anybody who disagrees with him. I strongly believe that a house divided against itself cannot stand, and I think his approach to politics in the United States is making us more divided, and I think in the long term we will see repercussions for that.
Okay, what's the question?
Well, whether or not you agree with that assessment of that situation.
I don't. We won the election, so I mean, like, what is the relevant question, though?
Well, the relevant question is, do you think that that approach to politics and where the stigma is right now is going to be dire in
No, I think it's somewhat of a miscategorization. I mean, are there things that he says that I wouldn't say? Is there a style that he employs that I don't employ? You see how I do things. It's not always like that.
Right.
But can you acknowledge he also keeps his promises? That's pretty good, right?
Well, I mean, not necessarily all his property. The war was supposed to end on day one. The war didn't end on day one.
I mean, again, there is some political bravado to some of this stuff, but the border is secure, right?
Well, it's more secure now.
No,
yes.
It's totally secure. We have literally nobody coming across the southern border. I mean, so he in the first term he kept promise after promise after promise after promise, and so I guess what would you prefer? Someone like Donald Trump that has a style you don't like, or someone like George W. Bush that has a style you like and was a terrible, awful, lying president?
Well, it's less of, I mean, the style is going to turn into big demonstrations that we see across the country where it becomes vulgar and it becomes difficult to work with one another. I mean, if you look at kind of, I mean, you can pick January 6th or you can pick riots on the left side.
You saw this kid that got punched by a professor here for wearing a Trump hat?
No, but
it's the other side doing it. We're not doing that.
But it's both sides. Well, okay, January 6th is an example of that happening.
Okay, how about something within the last 3 years? Anything within the last 3 years?
Within the last 3 years.
You can't name a single example
of
right-wing violence in the last 3 years.
I mean,
we're incredibly peaceful. No, seriously, you can't name an example.
But
I can name Tesla dealerships being burned, threats every day against Tulsi Gabbard and President Trump. Oh, I don't know, President Trump getting shot on the 13th of July in Butler, Pennsylvania. So I just find it to be just a little bit, like, outrageous that, like, well, it's Donald Trump dividing the country. I know that he got shot. I know that he wanted to kill him. And I know that he's been keeping promises. I know that the left is, trying to murder us in the streets and punching our students in the face, and I understand that they're hunting everybody with a Trump supporting hat down, but it's somehow Trump. So I mean, come on, man.
No, but that's not what I'm saying. I think what you're confused about.
Are you saying?
That's what I'm about to say. What I think you're confused about is I'm not saying that I'm in support of what's happening on the left. I think the kid that got punched out in front of the coup, awful situation. I think burning down Teslas, creating violence on the left side, I think that's an awful thing to do. I do agree with that. But I think that Donald Trump, and I mean the President of the United States, ultimately has some form of a responsibility to try to unite people. And I think that the stigma on both sides is just rising up, and I think that's as a result of the leader we have now. And also the final point, just on January 6th, just because January 6th happened 4 years ago opposed to 3 doesn't make it any less significant this conversation.
I'm so sick of hearing that it's always Trump's fault. And I know it's a whataboutism, but it's a very relevant whataboutism. What about Biden? Okay, Joe Biden, let us not forget, launched his presidential campaign on the whole premise that Donald Trump is basically a white supremacist, a white nationalist of sorts. He heavily implied it, said he refused to condemn it, that, maybe he isn't one, but he does everything just like one, and that it's functionally the same thing. And make no mistake, by extension, Joe Biden is saying the same thing about all the peasants, I say that metaphorically, of course, who voted for Donald Trump. It is truly disgusting. You want to talk about being polarizing or divisive? I am sick of hearing that it's Trump. No, it's not. All right. Trump has laid out a vision that every American can get behind if they so desire. Meanwhile, guess what? Are you against, say, so-called same-sex marriage? Are you for traditional marriage? Oh, nope, you're not allowed. You're a bigot. Oh, do you not believe in ending the life of a baby the day before it's born? Oh, sorry, you hate women. You're against women's rights. Nope, you're out of here. I could go on and on. I'm so sick of hearing about how Donald Trump and the Republicans are somehow not unifying the country. BS, all right? Enough's enough. You guys remember when Biden said this?
saying,
Do
Mr. Biden?
do you believe that the president is a white supremacist?
I believe everything the president says is done encourages white supremacists. And I'm not sure there's much of a distinction. As a matter of fact, it may be even worse. In fact, if you're out there trying to, in fact, curry the favor of white supremacists or any group that, in fact, is anathema to everything we believe. So whether he is or is not a white supremacist, he encourages them. Everything he does, he speaks to them. He's afraid to take them on. And if you notice, the one time he used the word white supremacy, he was, it was not, was he talk about sleepy. He was awful sleepy in the way in which he talked about it.
But Trump's divisive.
Again, 90% of the people there did nothing violent. They walked into the Capitol. They said a prayer. They didn't touch a police officer. They didn't touch. They didn't do anything with the windows. And if we want to talk about violence,
They did something with the windows. You see
again,
the videos of the
less
windows?
than 10. Again, like there were like maybe 50 people that were violent there, and over 2,000 people got arrested or convicted. The largest manhunt in federal government history. But again, while we're talking about, I don't know, mass violence and all this. Like, you remember the summer of 2020 where actually like material violent crime went up across the country? I know that you're not saying it's good.
I don't agree with
But
that.
I know, but it's just like, what exactly is your issue with Trump? He says mean things?
Well, I mean, yeah, to some extent.
I mean, come on, man. You're more mature than that. It's ridiculous.
No, but to some extent, what the thing is yeah, you can dumb it down to he says mean things, but he antagonizes the other side so far to the
Oh,
point.
come
where,
on,
like,
how?
No, but it's how.
Yes, how?
Anybody who disagrees
The guy,
with him,
they him. Oh, he's antagonizing them.
that's
They
not
try
what
to
I'm
put him in
saying.
jail
That's-
for 700 years. Oh, he's
that's not what I'm
antagonizing
saying.
them.
I'm not. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
I'm
show
saying
me
prior to
examples.
that
Tell me
point.
exactly how Trump is antagonizing the other
I mean,
side.
well, it's not just the other side; it's Republicans as well.
Show
I
me.
mean,
No,
he
no,
gives
come on. Where are your
insults out.
examples?
Okay, well, I
Yeah.
mean, from the Republican side, just as a specific instance, at a 2015 Iowa forum with John
That's
McCain.
10 years ago, man.
But he was 60 some odd years old 10 years ago.
This
Does
is
that
an
mean that we can
outrageous
just
claim. I mean,
disregard
can you name anything within the last decade?
that Donald Trump has done to divide
Well, I mean,
the
like,
country?
seriously, it's like, oh, he's antagonizing. Well, there was a thing in 2015 at an Iowa.
Okay, well, just take the debate then against Kamala Harris, a fear-mongering example where he's talking about illegal immigrants coming over and eating the cats and dogs.
Well, there's a lot of evidence to show
There's
the Haitian.
not a lot of evidence to the
100%.
No,
You have been
there's not.
propagandized by the media. In Springfield, Ohio, there were like, there's literally reports of missing dogs, over 75 dogs missing, and Haitians are known, by the way, to go and pick up cats and eat them. It is part of voodoo culture. You can laugh about it, but part of voodoo culture is actually like scooping up errant cats and being believed they're like spiritual animals. There's a lot of truth to what Trump said. How does that antagonize the other side?
Because it creates a situation where it seems like what's going on is worse than it actually is. It's offensive to a lot of illegal immigrants that look at that.
Oh, it's offensive to the people that broke into our country. I'm sorry, leave. You broke into America. I'm sorry that we're offending you. Oh, I'm so. I'm so sorry.
Have you guys ever seen that video of that man who recorded pretty much a Snapchat of some people roasting what at a minimum appeared to be a feline-like creature? All right, they were just roasting them in their backyard on little forks, turning them around like that. Kind of weird. Yeah, that got memory hold real quick. And if you haven't seen it, that's probably why. Don't believe the media's propaganda about how Donald Trump made that all up. No. There's a lot of evidence of it, and they buried it.
Broke into our country and that you're here illegally. Did I offend you? Oh, you don't eat dogs? Okay, then go back to Mexico. Sorry.
I meant to say legal immigrants. I apologize.
No, it's fine. But I mean, at some point, like, you got to admit, man, like, you're going to like nitpick on things that Trump have said when he is up against an existential force that is trying to destroy this country as we know it, that is trying to debase everything we care about. Joe Biden let 10 million people into this country with no idea who they were. How is that not high treason?
I agree with you on the Biden administration's approach with the border was not the best, but then you can also point to when they really sat down and was like, okay, we need to make a bipartisan bill that's going to be able to...
We didn't need the bill, though.
Well,
that's the thing. It was a scam. He closed the border in 10 days. So you're believing the media propaganda. Biden never needed a bill. It was a ploy. Donald Trump did it with no bill in literally a week.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, yeah.
So then why did we need a bill?
Well, what I'm saying is that he tried to take strides to secure the border more, and Donald Trump...
That's a bunch of crap.
It's not. In the summer before the election, he pushed forward some policy working with Republicans that would secure the border. Donald Trump called him up and he said, listen, this is not going to be good for our election. Kill it.
That's not... Again, you believe so much of the media lies. In the bill, it would have allowed 5,000 people a day to come across the border. Do you know that was in the bill? And it turns out none of that bill was necessary because Trump just closed it on day one. Again,
This ridiculous bipartisan bill you concocted in the the layer of Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer. By the way, if it's bipartisan, it's bad. Good rule of thumb. Had a certain provision for an emergency border order that, guess what, could only be invoked by DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. You know, the pro-open borders leftist who sat there and pretended like he gave a crap about the border when obviously he didn't. Yeah, we're supposed to look at that and say, oh, the Democrats, they want to secure the border now. How do people fall for this propaganda? It's so ridiculous. It's very obvious what was going on. They had an election coming up. The border was very much an issue that the Democrats were unpopular on. Americans had finally, after decades and decades and decades, woken up to the fact en masse that illegal immigration is detrimental to our nation for many reasons, be it economic security, national security, etc. We can go on and on. And the Democrats knew that. So what did they do? Oh, hey, we're here to secure the border now. You know, after all this gaslighting about how you're stupid and you're a racist if you care about the border. You know, that all apparently didn't happen now. It's so ridiculous. How do people not see it? It's insane to me.
We didn't need a bill. We needed a new president. So I'm not even sure what to make of all this, except for the fact that, like, you instead should be coming up and be like, you know what? I'm so glad that we have President Trump fighting for us every single day, not nitpicking something he said 10 years ago at an Iowa forum. I reject the entire premise. I do.
All right.
I do. And
no, and that's fair.
And
I'm sure you do.
So judge him for what he does and how he does it, which is every single day deliver on the promises for the American people.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you very much. Got to get this question.
Thank you very much.
Boom. Kirk laid out the facts once again, and I think this guy didn't like it, but I'll give it to him. He was respectful, and that's more than you get from most leftists. So thank you, kind sir. With all that being said, everybody, we hope you enjoyed the clip. What'd you all think? Please be sure to comment below. Let us know what you liked about the video, what kind of stuff you want to see in the future, and hit that subscribe button, and that way we'll be sure that we see you again soon. God bless.